Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to the Lizzy Jane podcast. I am so happy to be back on a schedule. We have a complete legend joining us today. He goes by the name of Papa Khan. He is all the way here from Indonesia for his first time in the United States for shows. He's playing Lost Lands. He's got a handful of shows across the United States that are headline direct support. If he is coming to your city, make sure you go and check him out before he goes back overseas. It was phenomenal to get a chance to sit down and speak with him about everything from Rain to Diary of a Poor Kid EP, his journey in general, some stuff about his home life, some artists that come from Indonesia. It's just amazing because he is such an inspirational facet and person for people and producers and artists overseas to finally get to the United States, to finally play in front of these crazy crowds. I couldn't be more stoked to sit down and speak with him. I'm so proud and happy for him, and I wish him the best. Without further ado, make sure to listen to this episode ad-free only on my Patreon at www.patreon.com/this is Lizzy Jane. We have private lessons, one-on-ones, group lessons, sample packs, ad-free podcasts, bloopers, exclusive content, all that stuff over on my Patreon. So make sure you go and you check it out. This is Lizzy Jane. I'm so happy to be back. Episodes every Monday. We have episodes coming up with Kiva, Lance, the talent buyer from Global Dance, Maddie O'Neill, Roman Silver, and so much more. You're tuning into my podcast with Papa Khan. The show today was brought to you by Vitaplur E-Boost Gum. With no pill to take or powders to mix, Vitaplur E-Boost Gum is a first-of-its-kind energy rave supplement that provides magnesium, electrolytes, and antioxidants while you chew. Vitaplur is the perfect complement to my active lifestyle, whether it's at the festival, on the road touring, or hitting the gym. Chew Vitaplur and dance with confidence. Use code LizzyJane for 10% off any order.
Papa Khan, you are here in the flesh in the United States. First off, congratulations. I can't imagine what it must feel like for you to be here.
Oh, such amazing feeling. Finally, the 26-hour flight paid off.
Oh my gosh. I mean, exactly. Yeah, you're here. And exactly what we were just talking about, where the jet lag and the time change. And I just want to run it all the way back because I know during the pandemic, during COVID, that's when we started to see your name come overseas into the United States, not only with Rain, but a numerous amount of other singles that you had released. It was just like this whole new sound that we had not really dove into in the United States bass culture, or even, I would say, to a better sense, in the scene in general, ever on a wide scale. You originally come from where in the world?
I came from Indonesia.
And you've been in Indonesia for your whole life?
Yes.
Is this the first time that you're in the United States?
Yeah, my first time, literally.
That's so amazing. And I mean, like, the fact that you have gotten here from music and music alone has to feel somewhat self-satisfying, gratifying, and crazy all at the same time.
Feels amazing.
Yeah.
Really.
And so many people, I mean, I've spoken to a good amount of artists that come from overseas, and they're from, I would say, more common countries than we see, coming from places like Indonesia, like coming from Australia or the UK or certain parts of Asia. And it's just such a journey to get over here as an artist, to get your visa, to get everything in order, to have the demand just to be able to come over here and share your art and somehow try and break even financially,
Yeah.
Take me back to your roots. How long have you been making music? When did you know that electronic dance music is something that you wanted to pursue as a career?
I've been making music for like 10 years. So it's since like I'm in middle school. I basically listen to some house music, some techno, some early Skrillex stuff. So that's kind of what gets me into like music production.
Mhm.
So yeah,
I
10
mean,
years.
I feel like Skrillex is kind of that one person for all of us. When we heard
Exactly.
Skrillex, it was like, what is this guy doing? What are these sounds? How do we place this in the grand scope of music in general? And that's where so much of bass music and bass music culture in the States that, then expanded onto other parts of the world came to be was through Skrillex.
Yeah.
And, you have guys in deep dub who were doing it much longer than before him, but he really put it on the forefront. And I feel like every artist I speak to, whether it's them from the States or them from overseas, Skrillex is that one person that it's like, wow, okay, here we go. This is super, super cool.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you were into house music, and tell me, I understand that Indonesia is a lot different than the United States, just in general.
Right.
How would you go about, obtaining the tools needed to properly make music? Like, tell me about your setup. Tell me about how you were working.
So I actually never had a real job in my life, but I just basically selling stuff like visuals, some sample packs. That's what kind of gets me to like kind of like helps me financially.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just something around that. I do visuals sometimes, like graphics, cover art for musics.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I do for a living currently.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
and
also music.
And it's crazy that even then, like, so many of us even here have to work day jobs, and just to take from like those creative outlets and being wearing multiple hats. I think Omar Moore Kismet was one of the first people I saw as well who doing their own cover art, doing their own music, doing their own visuals. Do you make your own visuals now?
I haven't, but I'm planning to do my visuals from now, since I've gotten really better at 3D stuff, at 3D modeling. So yeah, pretty excited.
That's amazing. I personally have been trying to take more of a deep dive into the program Blender, that whole, the 3D scope art. And it's crazy, and it's super cool because I work on my own visuals as well, and it's really cool to be able to like bring your vision to life, which I think is so important, especially if you're a DJ, to have that visual aspect is just as important as the music that we're hearing. And I think that was like so beautifully implemented in like the cover art for Rain, in the cover art for your EPs. And you have this like almost this contrast where a lot of people, I would say, categorize you and Popcorn's music in that bass realm, but it's got this beautiful ARP melody that's what I think is a lot of the musicality that's missing in your everyday dubstep music. So would you say that like you're taking your inspirations from, like, let's say for like Rain, like what was the story behind Rain?
Rain, story behind it, I don't really have like much story behind it, but Rain was originally made. I was trying to sleep that day, but my aunt is just bringing her friends over, and it was so loud. They're just talking and laughing, and I can't sleep that day. So I'm just kind of mad because I can't sleep properly. And I just tried to produce like playing around with FL Studio, and then I found out this melody of Rain. So it was just originally like da 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 da, just like that. And I'm like, wow, I think this sounds cool. And then I added the ARP on a couple bars after fake out, and it became Rain. There's not really a story behind it, but I feel like it's some kind of like I find it emotional. Rain. I think it's just a story about like breakups and all that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of people who have connected to that song have either had memories or gone to it in that certain point of their life. And when that was released and really made it over to the United States market, everyone's inside. No one's going to shows. No one's No one's out at festivals. We're going through a pandemic. You know, most of our country is shut down at the current time. And it really symbolized this, you know, this weird subgenre that was coming into play that I think color bass falls into, a lot of melodic dubstep falls into. And it was still this unique thing though, that no one had really heard something so beautiful like be mixed with dubstep and be categorized as bass music. And it really represented, just for me and I think a lot of other people, was this like really sad time where like we weren't going to shows and we weren't seeing our friends and we weren't doing X, Y, and Z. And I just, it was crazy. I can't imagine how it felt for you on the other side of like the world, seeing all of just these massive artists on these massive live streams just do the remixes to Rains, do the bootlegs, play the original.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I know, you know, the original, the Diary of a Poor Kid came out originally on Marshmello's label, correct? So did he, you know, reach out to you like, hey man, you know, dope track, like, do you have more music? Like, can I have the download for it? Like, how did that go?
So after the Rain blew up on Twitter, Marshmello followed me, and I asked my friend, should I just DM him? So my friend was like, yeah, dude, go for it. He followed you. That's an approval. So I'm like, I DM Marshmello and I'm like, hey man, I have some of this music. Thank you so much for the follow. I hope you like this music. And a couple minutes later, he's like, dude, this is so amazing. These are amazing. And I'm like, what? I'm freaking out in my room because like, it's just so cool. It's really cool.
And it's really cool too, where, you know, I feel like you look at artists who are, I would say, of celebrity status. Like if you're looking in the United States, you think of Drake or Beyonce or Lady Gaga. And there's almost like this untouchable aspect where you're like, I can't reach them per se. Where during COVID, and I just think with social media in general, it's like broken down these fourth walls. So the DMs are open. You know, you can have these conversations with people, and it's allowed people who I think just make some of the coolest art to find their way to the forefront. Where before then, you know, you would have to have a record deal, or you would have to know somebody, or you would have to do X, Y, and Z. And the fact that like very A grade, crazy producers, crazy acts can just shoot you a message. Hey, love your music. You know, what else do you have? Let's work on something. Da 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 da.
Yeah, I have some like big artists DMing me about Rain, just basically saying that the song is really good, and that's literally the best time of my life. Yeah, because I've been working so hard for it. You know,
it's years, and I feel like no matter where you come from, it takes a long time to build.
It does.
To build like a house of brick and not something that's just gonna blow over. Because I do feel like a lot of artists have like that one song that like pops off, and then they don't have like too much to follow up with, and it's like to have that consistency afterwards, and to have a song that puts you on that forefront is so amazing. Because I think a lot of artists, like, they really do have to like build. They never get that one song that's like a holy shit song. And for you to follow up with such like consistent releases is like so cool. And it just shows that you've worked for such a long time on like building the vision. And did you teach yourself production?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just browsed some YouTube tutorials, and then from there I just experiment with myself.
And welcome to the internet, right? I mean, it's this crazy thing. And tell me a bit about Indonesia's electronic scene. Is it existent?
It exists, but it's not really like in the whole part of Indonesia. Mostly, it's only in Bali or in Jakarta. In my place, dubstep isn't really a thing.
Okay.
Like people would have booed at you for playing dubstep. That's what happened to me a couple times.
Really?
Yeah. And people mostly like house music and some pop EDM in Indonesia. But yeah, I do hope that dubstep will pop up in Indonesia and we will have a scene in Indonesia, because that's going to be good. for young producers on there.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like you did really put, I'm sure there's other bass producers, but just
Yeah.
as far as like you being an example for other young producers to be like, hey, like you can do it. Because I know some of the best bass producers, in my opinion, and I know a lot of my other colleagues agree, they're from overseas. It's this crazy, I think of like Samplifier and Infect and like these crazy guys with crazy sound design, and it's so hard for them to make it over here, you know?
Yeah, right.
And I know originally you were supposed to come over a while back, and I assume it was issues with visas and all of that stuff.
Visa issues. It was really sad, so heartbreaking, but I'm glad I can finally make my way here.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm sure it feels great to be in the States.
Feels great, but I'm nervous.
And that nervous is good nerves. I think you just have to channel it into like, hey, I'm like here, and you already have such a strong fan base, which is like amazing, and it takes so many years for someone even to build to the point in which you're at. And even though shows at this caliber are probably a new thing for you, I think everybody's like ready to like welcome you with open arms. Like you have Denver at Larimere Lounge tonight, you're going to Lost Lands tomorrow, and that's like the dubstep Super Bowl. So I'm excited. I can't imagine.
Excited and nervous because because this is literally what I've been dreaming of for years. When I was producing actually in like an internet cafe. So where you rent computers, and I'll just install a film there, and I just produce from there. And that's the first time I knew about Lost Lands, and I'm like, oh, I want to play there. So yeah, it's crazy. It's such a dream come true.
Which is amazing, and I mean, like that's what it's all about, and so few people can get as far as you have already.
I really thought it was impossible for me because I live overseas, and I live 1,000 miles away from here. So I kind of feel like it's impossible, but then I keep trying, and I met some cool people who like to support me, some amazing people around me, and it's happening.
Yeah, it definitely is happening, and having the support from the United States side is always like a big thing when you have the people like Marshmello, DJ Snake, X, Y, and Z playing out your tracks. Whose track is this? And I think the biggest thing was it was so innovative for the time. And now there's tons of artists who, I'm sure if you look on YouTube how to make a popcorn track, there's tutorials. Yep. But that should be the goal as a producer.
Exactly.
You want people to be so inquisitive about how you made your sound that they're willing to try and like replicate it. And while that's like crazy, it's just the day and age we live in.
Some of them are actually nailed it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, it's wild. Well, like I've done, conversations with people like Funkcase or Must Die when, they were producing when there weren't YouTube tutorials and there weren't Serum presets and certain VSTs that already had everything done for them. And now if I wanted to sound like Virtual Riot, I just say, how do I sound like Virtual Riot? And you can do it. But the hard part that I think a lot of people over here who are aspiring artists that run into is trying to create a sound that doesn't sound like everybody else. So when you were, when you still are making music, is there a certain process that you go through, or do you time match like sound design? Like what does that look like an average day of you producing?
So in like PapaCon, what I mostly do is I just experiment a lot with piano roll and the melodies, and I try not to pick the sound that people already use so much, like what's the name, like resonator bass and all that. I don't really use that, but I'm way more into like experimental thing. Like I'm maybe like using flutes and distortions, some like crazy glitches. I think that's just my workflow because I'm just trying to be me in my music.
I mean, and that's so important where you kind of have this crazy thing in the DAW where you have this endless amount of opportunities and weird things that you want to pair together. And I feel in the sense of where you take something that may not go with something else, like taking, crazy multi-band compression and then pairing it with the flute and then resampling it and pitching it,
Actually, Rain was actually made because back then when I started producing, like my first and second year of producing, I produced with I originally was a tropical house producer, so I'm familiar with flute and all that. So I'm just, but I already liked dubstep before, but I just can't find a tutorial because it was like 2013, I guess. There's no many tutorials, and yeah, now that I'm making dubstep, why not just I combine it with tropical house aspect, and then it really works out.
And that's why I feel like it's just so important to put your time and your hours in.
Yeah.
Because even if you were doing something that wasn't in dubstep before or in even like electronic music and you were playing the piano or you were playing the guitar, that all feeds into your ability to write memorable music.
Right.
And I think nowadays a lot of producers get caught up in the technical aspects instead of focusing on just the melody and the musicality and the things that a regular consumer who's not, oh my God, how does their snare sound? Oh my God, how's the kicky cue? They don't care about that stuff. They care about the melody, the vibe, the euphoricness of the track. And I feel like you have always it's a cinematic, like beautiful sound that also can hit really, really well on a live system. And, from Indonesia, I can imagine there's not too many producers.
There's a lot though.
Did you have like a group, like a core group of friends that also produced?
Yeah, I do have some friends who produce actually, but they're just kind of like underground. So that's why I'm hoping that the EDM scene in Indonesia gets bigger. So these underground people get the opportunity they deserve,
Absolutely. And would you say here a lot of the time, producers and DJs, they definitely intertwine because to be playing Lost Lands or to be on a festival circuit, you have to produce as well. Would you say that separation exists in Indonesia where a lot of your producer friends don't DJ, or do they all DJ as well?
Most of my producer friends don't DJ because they don't have the connections to the clubs. And that's the opposite with the DJs. Most DJs in Indonesia doesn't really produce.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It definitely makes sense.
Yeah, because producers most of the time, it's just like in Indonesia, basically producers are kind of 16-year-old into 20, I guess 25. So there's just some school kids, so they don't really go to clubs.
Yes.
Yeah, but they're so talented.
I can't imagine. And was your journey as you wanting to do this, and I know you kind of put on multiple hats, selling sample packs, selling visuals, selling cover arts. Were your parents always supportive of what you wanted to do?
At first, my parents were kind of strict.
Yeah.
Because Asian parents.
Yeah. Yes.
But couple years later, my mom being supportive because I can show her that I responsible for this, and I can show that I'm making progress with this, and she's like, okay, you can do what you want with it.
I can't imagine them seeing you now traveling.
Yeah.
Okay.
My mom literally cried in the airport.
Oh, really? Oh, my goodness. I can't imagine. It's huge. I'm sure very few people leave because of a passionate art form that they've become successful at.
Right.
And to come over here and make your mark, and you're really putting on for your country in general. And opening those doors for those younger producers to hopefully follow in your footsteps, which is incredible. And would you say when you're doing those other forms of art, Is that how you kind of started to know people overseas, by doing artwork for them, visuals, or was that just in Indonesia? You were working for your friends, you were doing X, Y, and Z?
Oh, actually, when I do artworks, like most of the people who buy it, it's from overseas.
Okay.
Yeah, most of them are from Europe and from US. So that's how I know people as well. Um, they basically already know that I'm Papa Khan.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just amazing that people actually supports me by buying artworks. It's actually how I got into here.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think through past episodes, we've kind of transparently discussed that to build yourself as a project, it is very financially insane.
It's
insane.
It's a huge investment, I'd say.
It's a huge investment, and you have to be so prepared to
Right.
not even break even for a while, because
Right.
you're investing in the growth of yourself. And I mean, on your end, as far as you have to get the visa, you have to pay for the visa,
Right.
you have to, give the United States X amount of money from the checks that you're collecting when you're here on our soil, and to factor that all in and still know that most artists in the States don't even make $1, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
But to make that money off of still doing a creative art form to get you here, it's pretty wild. Not a day job, not a 9 to 5, not X amount of years of work. It's you still doing something in this space.
Right.
And I think that's so awesome, where long term I can absolutely see you intertwining all of those things. And I'm sure you have such a say in your creative direction already, as far as, hey, like, this is what I want my artwork to look like. Here are my references. This is my vision. Have you ever played, like, I know you said you mess around with the piano roll in your creative process. Do you have a piano? Have you ever learned how to play the piano?
No.
Okay.
I actually can't play any single instruments.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Production's still it's that weird kind of like elephant in the room, where you have the tools to be musical and have that musicality in your music, and still not, play it on the guitar first or play it on the piano first. And it's been so driven into your own music. I'm excited to hear about the stuff that you're working on currently that we get to hear. I mean, I'm sure, do you have some unreleased music you're playing tonight at Lost Lands?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what are those 2 sets going to look like?
Melodic stuff.
Yeah.
Melodic stuff, some emotional stuff. We definitely gotta cry in the club.
Yeah. I'm excited. So as far as I would say, like, inspirations in like this scene, or artists that you like, look up to, name a few of those people for us.
Oh, Getter.
Okay.
This is like my number one inspiration. Like, I follow everything he do, like Terroree, the Simi Valley.
Yep.
Just everything he does is just inspiring to me.
Yes. And I mean, he was someone as well where he took a huge chance on the Visceral project, where he went totally into that melodic lane.
Yeah, the visual project actually saved my life a couple of times. So I think that's also why Papa Khan changed direction to like way more melodic stuff, because of the visual. It's just so raw, experimental, and it's like one of the best album ever released. Yeah,
and you can like feel it too. And I know in your early releases, kind of after Rain, you definitely did go into that heavier socket for a while. You had a few real heavy releases, and it was very cool to see that complexity and to see that like range, because I think in EDM, a lot of times you'll get an artist that really establishes themselves in one kind of niche pocket, and they don't really leave that pocket. So in this day and age, to establish yourself kind of like here, it's really cool, because it really does expand your listeners and your fan base, and just, the potential of music that you want to release in the future. I mean, Getter's been just, I think, a standalone inspiration for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Been around for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And so when would you say the switch in your music journey went from house music, making that kind of stuff, to all right, I'm gonna put my eggs in a basket in the dubstep realm?
I think it's around like 2014 I started doing dubstep because there's already like a couple tutorials about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, you slowly learning, taking reference, and here
absolutely.
I am.
I mean, what would I would say be a few pieces of advice for maybe people in your position? Because I'm sure there's more than we all know, that they're just overseas and they make phenomenal music. They haven't really caught a break yet, but this is really what they want to do. And I know, like, keep going. I get that. But, like, things from your personal experience, because I'm sure you've been through some hard times where it's been like, okay, is this worth it?
I would say, like, especially if you're like overseas, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be harder, but you got internet. Yeah, as long as you got internet, you can make it.
So when you were at, you said you went to the Wi-Fi cafes, you were downloading FL Studio. Were you making a song session? Would you just make the whole song and then leave, or how would that go?
Yeah, I make a whole song and then leave, because if the PC died, I lost everything.
Yeah.
So I have to make the song in, like, let's say I rent the PC for like 6 hours, and I'll have to finish the song in 6 hours. If not, I lose everything.
Oh my god.
So yeah, I'm kind of used to like producing really fast. I could just like finish a song in like 2 hours. Rain was actually finished in like the whole demo of Rain was made in like, I think it's 2 hours.
Yeah. I mean, it would probably surprise you how many producers I talk to where their favorite song was made in a very short amount of time, or the one that popped off, the one that tons of people got behind. And I feel like a lot of that is not overthinking. When you can go back in the DAW, there's so much that you can change, or can I do this better? Can I do that? And I think that opens like a can of worms where you could never finish the song because there's always something to do better. So, I mean, that's such an interesting aspect where, you didn't really have a choice, but like setting that timer, sticking to a certain time amount of, okay, when this is done, it's done. And I don't have a choice to go back and fix it. This is my finished product. Here you go.
Yeah.
And then I assume, are you in your creative process, like here, there's a lot of people who will produce a song, compose a song, and then they'll send it to a mixing engineer, and then they'll send it to a mastering engineer. You're doing that all yourself.
Yeah, I do everything all by myself.
So are you someone who, I would say in the world of mixing, are your drums sitting pretty loud? Like, do you keep everything quiet and put a limiter on your master? How do you go about being as quick as possible, mixing and composing at the same time?
Yeah, I actually mix and master my tracks like at the same time when I'm producing, because I don't want to leave everything like unmixed or unmastered, because it feels kind of awkward to me, like leaving my tracks unmixed, not mixed, because I think that's the best workflow. Just composing and then mixing the track at the same time. Yeah. I don't even like do so much from a master channel. I just throw in some saturator and then sausage fattener on it. And
good old sausage fattener. Yeah. Oh yeah. That and Endless Smile were like one of my first two that I got that were just like, all right, this actually makes a hell of a lot of difference. Yeah. And I know the workflow. I'm in Ableton. I know the workflow in FL is a bit different, but also I've talked to tons of people who have loved it way more. Would you say, I mean, like Omar Kismet works in FL. I think Getter works, not sure. I think he may work in FL. Excision works in FL. It's kind of crazy to see the differentiation of all of these producers. And, there's Logic and Reason and Pro Tools and all of these different ways that you can kind of come up with the same product. And have you ever, I would say now that you're in the States, tell me about your plans while you're here. Are you, I know you're playing a multitude of shows. Are you getting in the studio with some artists? Are you getting your own studio time? What are your goals while you're here?
I haven't really planned anything. I didn't bring my laptop to here. So
you're here. You're just chilling.
I'm just chilling here.
No, I love it.
We're gonna chill with my friends.
Yep. I mean, you have to enjoy your time here too, because you have worked really fucking hard to be here. So you have to, enjoy that moment. And Lost Lands is going to be your first festival, right?
Yep. Like my first festival ever. I've never been to a rave.
Godspeed. It's gonna be crazy.
Basically the first time I go to a rave, I'm playing on it. So
yeah, I mean, that's
such a great feeling.
That's the way to do it. And Lost Lands it's something. You're gonna have a great time. It's definitely one of those very unique festivals that just have every subgenre and bass music imaginable represented. Right. You've got drum and bass, you've got color bass, melodic, heavy, tear out. It's gonna be really fun. And you've built up this anticipation for, your first set. Your first festival set, and it's at Lost Lands. It's at the Super Bowl, Dubstep Super Bowl.
Getting really nervous.
No, you just have to channel that energy. And I'm sure once you get there, you see a bunch of homies, you see a bunch of friends you're ready to meet, and it's gonna be a really, really good time. So where did the name PopCon come from?
I took the name from a game called Fallout New Vegas.
Fallout, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of post-apocalyptic stuff.
Yep.
Zombies. So
I see that in your artwork too.
Yes, I made actually one post-apocalyptic art for my friend's novel. So just working.
Yeah, I mean, super, super cool. Can we expect any new music from you in the near future?
Absolutely. I've been doing vocals for my music. I got this one song that has PopCon vocals that I really likes the most. And I really can't wait to drop it.
That's so exciting. And I mean, I feel like you already have your per se sound, but I've had tons of conversations with other artists where we do feel like the future is incorporating live elements, and to hear that you're putting your voice in there. I mean, that's super awesome. Have you always liked to sing? Or is it this manipulation, kind of crazy vocals?
Yeah, I like to sing since I was 7, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is where I only get to properly sing because I love music since I was a kid. I live around it. My dad used to play me some music in the morning, so I kind of get used to it. When I was a kid, it's amazing. My mom is actually a singer as well.
Really?
Yeah, my grandpa was a pianist, and my grandma was a singer.
Oh,
so our family's actually
runs in your family.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's super, super cool that you kind of already have that music bone in your body, and now you've just implemented it in a way that you can make a career out of it. And it's very, very cool. So while you're here, you're playing Denver, Lost Lands. Where else are you playing? For people who are listening to this, if they're gonna come and see you, how many shows do you have? I'm gonna
play in. Oh, there's a lot.
There's a lot. Yeah. You're here for a while.
I'm gonna do support for Calcium and Indian Teamer at the OC.
Oh, yep. Over in California.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a wild thing.
It's gonna be fire.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna have such a great time when you leave here. You're going to be seasoned in how you want your sets to be. You're gonna know what things you want to change.
Yeah.
Was Record Box a crazy thing for you to adapt to and understand?
I'm a tractor guy, So when I try Record Box, I'm like, what is this? But I'm used to it though.
Yeah. That's good. And it's just a big learning experience that it's going to be a trial. There's going to be some stuff that just doesn't go as planned, and that's just life. And you're here though, and that's all that matters. And it's this is your first run in the United States, and I'm sure you'll be back very, very soon.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you're going to have a huge, massive headline tour, and it's going to be that's how it's going to go. And then you've done some releases with Monster Cat, and then you had the Diary of Poor Kid. That was the EP over there. Do you enjoy working with Monster Cat? I mean, they seem like a wonderful label.
Absolutely. It's been my dream label, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you get them in the video games.
Yeah, get to you in video game. That's that's just amazing.
Yeah.
I never thought my music would be in a video game, you know.
No, and it's cool how it kind of really all intertwines, just like in entertainment in general. Here, you know, especially with EDM, it goes so well with video games, so well with movies, like especially your type of music, you know, getting a publishing deal in the future, like all of that stuff is, I'm sure, just on the horizon for you. Before I let you go, I need 3 pieces of advice for producers in general, not from ones overseas, not X, Y, and Z, just people who are doing something different that they may not think, okay, are people going to like this? Like, did that ever go through your head? Like, what will people like this? Or was it just, this is the kind of music I want to make, I'm making it, that's it?
The first advice would be just make whatever you want, dude. Like, you can make like hip hop combined with EDM, combine it with dubstep, make some melodic. Just do anything. I'm pretty sure people would love it, just like what I do with Rain. I'm always sure that Rain sounds good, at least sounds good. But I never thought Rain would be actually blowing up that big. So yeah, I feel like just do anything, like anything you want to do, anything you want to make, anything you want to produce, just do it. So there's literally no limits in like in the DAW. There's no limits. There's no right way or there's no wrong way. It's just you and the DAW.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, you've accomplished great feats getting over here, and now you're here. Enjoy it. Have fun. Get to meet all of your friends, and then you get to go home and write about it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you, Papa Con. I really appreciate you coming on today. Let's do it.
Thank you so much.